I love racism!
Boy, oh boy, I love me some adult cartoons. Adult cartoons are perfect for when you love animation, but you don't want the insecurity of watching children's programming that comes with it. Not only that, but you can find some really intelligent and thought-provoking content among all the dick jokes. Now first off, for this list I have a few criteria. First off, I'm not just talking about any adult animations here. I'm specifically referring to the Adult Swim style comedy shows. So unfortunately, Spawn will not be on this list. Also, I will not be including any web series in this list. There's enough competition as is. This list is not ranked by the quality of the show, but more by how much I like it, so don't take the order of this list too seriously. So with all that out of the way, let's just get balls deep into it. I'm Tim the Fanboy Philosopher, and this is my top 10 adult cartoons. Number 10 is Futurama. Futurama follows the adventures of Fry, a modern-day delivery boy who accidentally gets cryogenically frozen and then wakes up in the 31st century. He joins a futuristic delivery service, meets a bunch of funny characters, and stuff happens. Not much of a plot here, but to be fair, it doesn't really need one. I'd say that the humor style here is basically just an improved version of The Simpsons humor style. Now, the hardcore fans of the show know why it's on this list, but a lot of you may be wondering why it's only number 10. Well, the thing is, for whatever reason, I just never actually feel like watching the show. Like, don't get me wrong, when I'm watching the show, I love it, but for whatever reason, I just never feel like putting it on. That being said, other than a few lackluster episodes, this show has no big flaws that I can really see. Probably the biggest thing I don't really like about the show is the main character Fry. I just don't personally find him to be very funny. That being said, the rest of the cast is god tier, with the best characters being the Professor, Zoidberg, and of course the show's biggest strength, Bender. What can I say about Bender Bending Rodriguez?
I hate the people who love me, and they hate me.
Bender is by far the best part of the show. He's the perfect blend of lovable rogue and asshole best friend. If nothing else, you should at least check out the show for him. As a whole, Futurama is just a hilariously quotable show that honestly I just don't watch often enough.
I'm going to jump!
No!
Oh! Do a flip!
Number 9 is F is for Family. F is for Family is a Netflix show that went fairly unlooked for the most part. A lot of people brushed it off as just another unfunny, raunchy sitcom, which is a real shame because in reality, the show is actually pretty damn good. F is for Family is about a family growing up in the 70s and their day-to-day lives. So, okay, it sounds like shit, but hear me out. Over the course of its first season, spanning 6 episodes, there's an actual story being told here, and while it's hard to make that story sound interesting, just take my word that it's actually really good. This show is the brainchild of the stand-up comedian Bill Burr, who is a comic that I recently just started watching, and I have to say, I absolutely adore this man.
And they started talking about domestic violence. How do you not know not to do that shit? Do they really have to keep talking about it? It's like wife beaters watching? Oh, fuck! Ah! Now I get it. Ups a daisy, sweetheart. Here we go. There you go. Oh.
What makes the show work so well are the characters. At first you'll hate each one of them, but I think by the time you reach the last episode you'll really grow to care about them. The show also utilizes its setting particularly well. The series takes place in 70s America, and both the comedy and the drama are married to this setting. A lot of the drama in the show comes from the characters trying to deal with the roles that they were given in relation to that time period, and a lot of the comedy comes from making fun of that time period. I'd say that this show is definitely accessible to most people. Really, the only thing I'd warn you about is that some of these characters are complete assholes, the animation can be a little bit lacking, and at least one point in the show you'll see an honest-to-God ball sack.
Balls.
But if you can get past all that, this show is definitely worth checking out, and I hope to God that we get a season 2.
Oh, look at that. Fat Albert.
I'm not wearing a costume.
Well, then you don't get any fucking candy.
Number Number 8 is a show called Frisky Dingo. Now this is probably a show that you've never heard of before. Frisky Dingo is a show from a much earlier Adult Swim, so to little surprise, it looks like shit. That being said, the show is great. The show is about a supervillain named Killface trying to raise funds for his super weapon through advertising, and a superhero named Xander Cruz who's trying to raise funds for his crime fighting through toy sales. The characters in the show are memorable and hilarious, especially the main two. The humor in the show is also great and very quotable.
Give me some glitter on here.
You can't fax glitter.
Well, not with that attitude.
Not with any attitude.
But for me, the selling point of the show has to be the fact that it's heavily serialized. That means that there's this overarching story and there are no standalone episodes. This is a writing tool that has been used a lot in anime, but not a lot in the West, so it's really refreshing to see it here, especially in a comedy. So I guess the next question is the story any good? Well, I'd say so. There's no character development, but each thing throughout the show builds up on top of each other very nicely until it all comes to a satisfying climax at the end of each season. Speaking of which, the ending of the show is one of the most confusingly satisfying things I've ever seen, and I wouldn't dream of spoiling it. Overall, I'd say that you should definitely check Frisky Dingo out. It may look like ass, but the characters are great, and the plot has hilarious twists at every turn. Definitely recommended.
Bachelor cannot win the presidency. What? Freaks people out. So you need to bite the bullet and marry Grace Ryan.
You know,
What are you doing here?
Number 7 is Archer. Archer is a show about the agents of ISIS. No, not Goat Fuckers Incorporated, though pretty much everything else in the show does get fucked at some point.
So wait. There's good cholesterol?
ISIS is comprised of a bunch of agents, each more horrible than the last. The show is comprised entirely of assholes, and I love every single one of them. Archer's biggest strength is definitely its writing. The banter between the characters in the show is incredibly entertaining, and some of the lines here are nothing short of genius.
Okay!
Okay.
Wait!
What?
Stop!
What?
You said the 2 letters after the dash were Oscar Kilo!
Who? What?
Okay, Oscar Kilo!
No. Okay. Like.
Okay, now I'm gonna tell you what they are.
Yeah, and then you didn't.
I thought we skipped that part.
Skip the step in disarming a bomb.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty irresponsible on your part,
why
but...
do you always do this?
Why do you always not shut up?
Archer is made by Adam Reed, who also made Frisky Dingo, and while Archer may not be serialized like Frisky Dingo, it makes up for it through its concentration on continuity. Archer can pull off a great brick joke, and the running gags used throughout the show are hilarious.
Thanks, I'll let you know if I need a hybrid pig boy.
What? What are you? I don't have one of those. That'll do, Piggly. That'll do. Nice work, Pam.
Damn her piggy little eyes.
Oh, Piggly.
A pig wouldn't be caught dead in there.
Yeah, it would.
Oh, Piggly too.
On top of all that, the jokes always tend to pile on top of each other, and it was rare for the show to have any points where I wasn't LMFAOing my ass off. Another thing worth mentioning in Archer is its use of cutoff gags for transitions. Often they'll end a character sentence with the first word of another character sentence from the next scene.
He's gonna be all like, woo!
Honestly, there's not really anything holding the show back. It's just great. It's a brilliant show about assholes through and through.
Lana.
What? Danger zone.
Number 6 is Bojack Horseman. Bojack Horseman is the story of an actor who used to be on a family sitcom in the 90s. He's washed up, rich, and has no direction in life. At first, the show works as a commentary on the shallow, parasitic nature of Hollywood, but it eventually becomes about so much more. Now, straight off the bat, this show looks like ass. Other than Frisky Dingo, this is easily the worst looking show on the list. That being said, even though the art style hasn't necessarily grown on me, I have grown to at least tolerate it. I love the characters, the comedy is great, and the show is once again serialized, which I love to see more of in the future. This show can pull off all kinds of humor, from dumb humor to cynical humor to topical humor to slapstick. It does a good job of covering all its bases.
Are you drunk? Todd, I weigh over 1,200 pounds. It takes a lot of beer to get me drunk.
Yes?
All that being said, this show is honestly hard for me to recommend. And in order to go into why, I need to go a little bit more serious for a minute, so just bear with me. You see, this is kind of a hard show for me to talk about because honestly, the show seriously fucks me up. This show has a way of getting under my skin and reaching into my deepest and most crippling insecurities. I've seriously had like panic attacks brought on by this show, and yet I keep watching it because apparently I'm a masochist. This show's themes center around emptiness, broken people, escapism, the pursuit of happiness, existential nihilism, and despair. The show plays around with the idea of what if there isn't a light at the end of the tunnel? And before you ask, yes, we are still talking about the show with the talking horse. Don't think even for a second that this is just another adult cartoon. This show does not pull punches, and strangely enough, part of me wishes it would. I think I probably have too many issues to be able to watch this show like a normal person. In short, don't expect a what the fuck is up with Bojack Horseman anytime soon. I don't think it would do me any good to analyze it. Don't get me wrong, it's a great show, quality-wise it's one of the best, but it's hard for me to recommend a show that personally fucked me up so badly. This show dives so deep into its own cynicism that it chokes the life out of anyone watching it. Honestly, the show is just like its title character. Funny, brutally honest, and unappealing. However, if you look deeper, it's complex, brilliant, relatable, philosophical, relentlessly human, and heartbreaking. But if you end up looking too close, you might end up getting hurt.
I need to...
Stop.
Please,
No.
please don't make me go back to L.A.
I don't care where you go, Bojack, but I can't have you around here. You make me too sad.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a little bit of a downer. But hey, if you can get past all that, then, you know, you got a great show to watch, so, you know. Also, in case you're wondering, no, there's no good reason why everyone's an animal. Honestly, I'd say just be happy that we never have to see any half-breed children throughout the show.
It's alright to jerk off to cartoons. The Japanese do it every day. So rub one out for the USA. The USA!